Welcome to Photoactive, a podcast about photography and technology. I'm Kirk McElhearn.
And I'm Jeff Carlson.
You can find show notes, including any photos we discuss in this episode, at photoactive.co. That's photoactive.co. So we're in the doldrums. This is the part of summer after Apple's WWDC, which for us is a major event, before new Apple devices get released in the autumn. It is the Euro Championship of soccer sports ball being played right now, which I only notice when I see it in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. We are coming up to the Tour de France, which starts on Saturday. Yay! And then the week after the Tour de France ends is the Summer Olympics in Paris. So with all these things going on, we've been having trouble finding a topic to talk about.
A photographic topic.
A photographic topic, obviously. We're not going to the Olympics. We're not going to the Euros. And unfortunately, I won't be going to the Tour de France, but I will be watching every stage on TV. So there is some photo news we want to talk about. And do we want to start with the ugly new camera?
Well, now we have to because we said the ugly new camera.
No, I said the ugly new camera. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think it's ugly.
I also think it's ugly, and I think it's this very curious, bizarre thing to throw in the marketplace right now.
It is the Pentax 17 film camera. That means you put a roll of plastic in it and it takes pictures, and you can't see them right away like on your phone. You have to take them to a guy who puts them in some chemicals and then either prints them out, or what they do now is they print them and scan them so you can actually get the digital photos, which is kind of funny. Why are you shooting on film if you want digital photos afterwards? But there's something unique about this camera. There were film cameras that did this in the past. It wasn't entirely common. It's what's called a half frame camera. Instead of using a 24 by 36 millimeter frame, it's using a 17 by 24. Now, we'll link in the show notes to the DP review of this camera that makes a little bit of a mistake. It says half frame camera, meaning it captures two vertical images instead of a single horizontal one on each frame of film. It's not capturing two images at a time. It's just advancing the film half a frame instead of a full frame.
There are so many things about this that I have questions about. And I think this is why we wanted to bring it up because, I mean, yes, new camera. We see lots of new cameras. And dare I say it, a lot of them have been sort of, I don't know, like there's a lot of the same thing happening throughout a bunch of different camera companies. Like, oh, it's got a bigger sensor, whatever.
But we don't see a lot of new cameras. We see a lot of new camera models of existing cameras. This is a new camera. Pentax has made cameras for decades. I don't know if they've made any in recent years. They don't make digital cameras, do they?
I think
it's not a name I hear.
I think they do. But again, like that's exactly it. Like Pentax, who thinks about Pentax, which could actually be part of the point here. So it is a new camera, which is a great, interesting thing. It is only a film camera. It's not like they are putting out a film version of one of their digital cameras, which would be sort of hilarious. But they are seeing a resurgence in the marketplace where a lot of people are starting to get back into film photography. Now, we have an episode that we'll put a link to in the show notes. We talked to Dan Bracaglia about shooting with film and how this was a new thing that particularly, honestly, younger people are picking up on. And I think also a lot of photographers who once shot film have been shooting digital, and for various reasons, they want to get back to that analog approach to photography. Where, from what I understand, it's not about really image quality. It's not really about performance. It's that almost different mindset.
It's a look.
It's a look.
No, I think it's more of a look than a mindset.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's that retro look. And there's another trend that I've been reading about of, I guess we call them Generation Z people.
Okay.
Who are buying old digital cameras, like 1 megapixel cameras, and using them, and they think it's cool to have something that's grainy.
Yeah.
Whereas you could just use a filter to get that in any kind of app, and there are already apps that do that.
Right. Well, that's actually why I say it's more of a mindset, because it is a way to take photos, but being more mindful about it. We've talked about that forever, more mindful photography, but it's less of a focus on, can this piece of hardware get a perfectly technical good result? I mean, focus and shutter speed, burst rates, like all of these things that we play with now, a lot of that either gets pushed to the side or goes away entirely when you're shooting film because, I mean, you're not going to do a burst shot of 36 burst rate photos with your film camera because then you're done. Like you've used up all of your entire roll of film in 9 seconds or whatever. So I think that it's interesting that there seems to be enough demand for this that a company has gone to the effort of designing, testing, producing, manufacturing, shipping, marketing. I mean, to bring a new camera to market is a big, big deal. And to have it be a film camera. And also, this isn't just like a little box camera that you get at the drugstore that has 12 shots that you take to a wedding and you get those developed and then that's it. Like it looks like it is a decent, good quality camera with a decent quality lens, but it's film.
It's a $500 camera.
Yeah. $500 or $600,
it's not a cheap camera.
think. Yeah.
Well, the base model is $500, but for $600 you get film and processing and extended warranty.
Oh, okay.
I think the most interesting thing is that this is a camera that shoots film in the format of a phone, in a portrait mode of a phone. It's not exactly the 3.4 of an iPhone, but it's relatively similar. And this is like, for people who want to be cool, it's not just film, but it's film in the portrait mode like they shoot with their phones. And to be fair, most people shoot selfies in landscape mode, don't they? So that's a little bit different. But the portrait mode gives it a different sort of image, that it's more than just film. It's like people must be thinking it's modern film, even though the half frame camera is an old thing. It was, I think, back in the 50s they were doing this. You talked about autofocus, and this has a 6-zone focusing system. And a lot of old cameras like that have focusing. If you look at the image in the DP review article, you see on the top of the lens, you see a number of small what look like icons, and there's a single person and 2 people in a group and a mountain, and then on the other side there's a knife and a fork and a flower. So you're basically choosing the zone for what you're shooting. The flower's for macro, the knife and the fork is when you want to shoot your meal. The single person is a portrait, and then it gets a little further. So you're estimating the zone focus, but it seems like it's a 37 millimeter equivalent lens. It has f3.5 to 16, which is pretty good when you consider that you can get film that's relatively fast meaning a high ISO speed. And so you could shoot in a lot of conditions with something like this. As to why you want to do it, I don't know. I mean, there's an article in Digital Camera World, which is a British magazine, says, okay, cool, we have new film cameras, but where will we get the bloody film? Because there's not that much film available. In fact, film, I don't want to say that film photography is so popular that you can't buy film. It's just that these companies haven't been producing much film. I think Fujifilm just announced they're going to be making film in China to increase the amount of film they make. Remember, Fujifilm has film in the name, and they're a film company, as well as a camera manufacturer, and they were film before that. But getting film is hard. Now, apparently this camera sold out in Japan just 2 days after launch. It does seem like a Japanese type fad, and we'll see in a couple years if it lasts. I'm not sure how many casual photographers would spend $500 for something like that.
Well, and also that also makes me think of the cost of the film, because I mean, I don't shoot film. You don't currently shoot film, but anecdotally, it does sound like film is expensive. Even if you're talking about like the Fuji Instax that have the little Polaroid style film, like that film is also expensive.
You mean the tiny Polaroid style?
Tiny,
very
ones.
tiny.
Yeah,
business card size.
Exactly. And so, like, I think due to scarcity and probably not a whole lot of demand, film is expensive. So here's the question. Let's say you say to yourself, I'm going to get back into film photography because either I liked it back when I did it, or this is something I've never done. I've been shooting digital and I want to experience this other way of shooting. I think there are a lot of people who are very interested in that. How long is it before that camera just sits on a shelf or goes in a drawer?
If you want to shoot film, I would recommend buying a disposable camera. You can get a Kodak disposable camera. I'm just looking on Amazon. You can even get one with Tri-X 400 ASA. I'm saying ASA. It used to be ASA. ISO. 18 pounds for 36. No, it says 27 shots. It's a 27 exposure roll. It's a single-use camera. And this is the cost of the camera and the development. 18 pounds for 27 shots. That's 60, 70 pence per photo, something like that. You can try it out. It's not that expensive. If you like it, maybe go for a real camera. But there's nothing wrong with it. If you're going to do film, start with the basics, like everyone did when we had the Kodak Instamatic back in the days, right?
Yeah.
You're too young for that. You don't know the Instamatic.
No, but I did you ever have one of the disc cameras that had the little round disc?
Yep.
Which was amazing because it could be like the camera itself was so small. I remember taking that to Europe, I think, long time ago. The other thing I would also add is if you are into or want to get into film photography, there are a ton of old usable film cameras on the market that you can get secondhand because it's not like they have a sensor that is low resolution. These are all mechanical cameras. And so if you have one, even if it's 30 years old, if it's in good shape, that can be a great place to start and will probably be less than $500.
Here's another one. I didn't even know this existed. Kodak sells a Ektar H35 half-frame film camera, 35 millimeter, reusable, focus-free, lightweight, easy to use, 49 pounds.
Huh.
So this is above a disposable camera. You actually buy the film and put it into the camera and then send it out to be developed. There's no focus. It's a fixed focus lens. The lenses on these cameras, like Instamatic cameras, were pretty similar to the 28 millimeter, which is what we have with an iPhone or another camera like that. So they have good depth of field. Obviously, you don't have multiple f-stops that you get with the Pentax, but for $49, buy your own film and you try it out. And this is a half frame, so you get 72 photos per roll of 36. I mean, you can't beat that. Twice as many photos for the same price.
Perfect.
But I haven't been paying attention to this, but I find it interesting that half frame is a thing, but it makes total sense because it matches what people see on a phone and what they're expecting. It's like just the young people today think in that format of they visualize things in that format because they shoot videos like that. They shoot photos like that. So yes, go for the Kodak half frame camera, $50 or 50 pounds or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm not going to buy one because I do not have an experience shooting with film except way in the past. I don't think you're going to buy one. I'd be very interested if any listeners have bought one or are shooting film. So go to our Facebook group, Photoactive Podcast. I can't remember what it's called right now because it's just out there. Crap.
Just search for Photoactive on Facebook. We're the only Photoactive.
There you go.
There's no imposters.
And let us know if you're shooting film.
I was actually thinking about that disposable Kodak camera with Tri-X. That's why it's in my shopping cart on Amazon to potentially buy it when it gets cheaper. Just as a thing, go out, shoot, simple, see what you can get.
Maybe that's a future episode. We each buy a disposable film camera, take pictures, talk about the experience.
Okay, we'll do that.
Sometime. Okay.
No, definitely. I like the idea. We did a photo a day a few years ago, and we shared the libraries. And it would be interesting if we each bought a film camera like that and went out and spent a day and just took a lot of pictures. We'll talk about that after.
Sounds great. This episode of Photoactive is brought to you by PhotoScout by Cascable. Have you ever planned out a landscape photo shoot and gotten skunked by the weather? What if you're scouting a spot and want to know at which day and time the moon will be positioned directly above a mountaintop? PhotoScout is the intelligent photo assistant that can point you in the right directions at the right times. You set up the criteria you're looking for, such as a vibrant sunset at a specific location, and Photo Scout will tell you the next anticipated time they're going to happen. To get that mountain moon photo, use Photo Scout's AR location picker to point your camera at the scene and tap a spot in the sky. Photo Scout will tell you when to be ready for that shot, even days in advance. Now, you may already have a few apps that will let you check the weather and see where the sun will appear in the sky at sunset or sunrise. Those are helpful, to be sure, but you need to go chasing that information. Photo Scout is an app that does that work for you in advance and tells you when to go get that perfect photo. Photo Scout has you covered with all that and more. You say where, Photo Scout says when. Check it out with a free trial today at photoscout.app. That's photo-scout.app.
So what else is new? You were telling me about some new photo social media sharing Instagram clone.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I probably spend too much time on social media, but not in a hopefully toxic way. Will have nothing to do with the site formerly known as Twitter, because it's just become a cesspool. But it made me think about, well, and then also I should go back. There's also Instagram. Now, Instagram, we have an Instagram account for PhotoActive that we basically use to post when there's a new episode that's coming up. But Instagram for a long time was the place where photos and photographers lived. And I have often gone to photographic sites and, been, shooting a sunrise or whatever, seen other photographers, you chat them up, and it's been very easy to just say, oh, what's your Instagram handle? And then you find them and you follow them. And it's almost like a photographer's business card. And so that's how you get to know people. Well, Instagram now is just a sewer of video crap. And I'm sorry to measure my words there, but it has pivoted so hard to video, to reels, to influencers. It doesn't really know what it's trying to be. And for photographers, it's just become really useless. So that made me think, what are some alternatives that people are using now? Because I imagine there are a lot of people who want to do some sort of social thing, some place to share their photos, but there are lots of them out there. What do you do? What do you choose?
Me. I know.
Oh, good. Okay, go.
Glass.
I've heard of this glass.
We've talked about glass. We've had the founders of Glass on. We've done a couple of episodes on glass. We're both on glass. It's a paid service, which if you want good quality, you got to pay for it. You want to be the product and get stuff for free. You get the product, you get ads, and you get inundated with influencers, right?
Yeah.
Glass is totally different, and they've evolved a lot. Is it 3 years now they've been around? They keep evolving, coming up with new features, improving the quality. But I think you have another idea of something else that's trying to imitate glass while looking like Instagram.
Yeah. So there's a new service, app, site, I don't know what you want to call it, service. And it's called Photo, F-O-T-O. And that's it, photoapp.co. And the way
I guess they couldn't afford the com I guess they couldn't afford the M like us.
Exactly. Those M's they're very expensive these days.
M's are expensive. Yeah.
So basically, photos started coming up in conversations that I was seeing online, primarily on Threads, and we'll get to Threads in a minute. But there were more people who were starting to say, hey, I'm trying out this new service. And it's been in a limited beta, so it's not fully released yet. I think it's an interesting approach. They very much seem to be mirroring Glass in the sense that this is going to be a chronological feed of the people you follow. It will be a paid service. So I think right now it's probably going to be like $5 a month, or maybe there's also a yearly cost. But again, this is something that you're going to pay for, and it's really geared toward bringing photographers together. Now, the thing about Glass, which I love about Glass, is that it's bringing photographers together, but photographers are not marketing to other photographers there, or at least it doesn't feel like it. With Instagram, it always feels like a hustle. And honestly, that's what we're doing with the Photoactive account there too. Like we want people to see that we have new episodes and bring us in and all of that.
But that's not a hustle. We're not hustling.
We're not hustling.
We're not hustlers. We don't know how to hustle.
Are you kidding? We're freelancers. That's all we do is hustle. But it's also the I don't know. When I post things to Instagram, and I mean, honestly, I am guilty of this too, but I will post things when I have like a new article or a new book or something like that, as well as just offhand daily shots or something that I feel is worth sharing. But that feels like work. Glass doesn't feel like work. Glass feels like I'm sharing this to other photographers who I follow and respect because I like their photography and hoping that they will like my photography. And it's like a conversation between photographers. And conversation might be too much of a loaded term for this, but it feels like you are sharing with your peers without the expectation of, hey, buy my class, buy my presets, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Photo's trying to do the same thing. And maybe they're just doing it because maybe glass is too expensive, or maybe they just see that as a model that could be working, because the core of all this is, I think, Instagram used to be the place, and a lot of people are still on Instagram, and a lot of photographers find themselves just frustrated with the crapification of Instagram. Now, I mentioned Threads, which is owned by Meta, who also owns Instagram.
Well, it's actually, they call it Threads from Instagram, I believe.
Yeah.
They don't mention Meta or Facebook. They want to say that they want to make it like the text equivalent of Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. And surprisingly, it has become an interesting place for photographers to be. And so it's very much a texty sort of social media like Twitter was. And I think it still seems to have – it's also relatively new. It's probably like a year old. And so it hasn't been completely overrun with crap. There's a lot of it, to be sure. But there seems to be a good photographic community that is built up around there. And so as long as you are following people who are photographers, I see a lot of photography and a lot of photo conversations that aren't just clickbait stuff in my feed. There's a hashtag. The way Threads works with hashtags is you can basically just do one hashtag. It's not like with Instagram where, you do a comment that's got 32 different hashtags. You basically have one, and there's one called Photographers of Threads that has been really good about sharing photos and, staying on topic and not diverting into all of the upsell crap. If you've not tried out Threads and you're looking for a community in terms of a social networking community of photographers, I would say definitely check that out. And yes, Glass is still at the top of my list.
I don't use Threads. I have Threads. I have a Threads account because everyone has a Threads account if they had an Instagram account. Mm-hmm. I just don't have the bandwidth. I do use Twitter because I need it for my work to stay up to date on news. I use Mastodon, but two is enough. Two is enough. And I used to use Instagram a lot, and obviously it just got horrible. I still use Facebook for groups and photography groups, as I mentioned very often, specific photography. There's one on black and white. Here's Leica portrait group. Here's Fujifilm X100 series, Leica Q series, things like that. I use that kind of group, and I've mentioned this before, most of the photos in those groups are terrible. So it's not like it's really enlightening to see that sort of photographer. I found the thing that makes it a little bit more palatable recently, and I guess this existed for a while. Hide all posts by. When you see someone who's posted a really bad photo, all of his photos are going to be bad. So just hide all the posts.
No, social media filtering is the key to actually having any sort of existence.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that also goes back to to the reason why I was thinking of this in the first place, which is at one point you had Instagram and you had Twitter, and that was it, and that was nice. Now –
and life was so much simpler. But you still had Facebook and LinkedIn and
exactly.
And you had Tumblr and you had MySpace and you
Yeah, I guess nothing's really changed. There's just so many different options, and it's hard to tell where to put your effort in if you want people to see your photos. And so I think the answer to that is go to Glass, because you can share your photos with people who are more like-minded. If you want conversations right now, I would say go to Threads. And check out Photo. They're very in their infancy. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it because I already have Glass. So I don't want to repeat too much work. But it's interesting that there are still these communities that are trying to happen.
Because I think there are people who realize that Instagram has become, can I say it, in-shitified?
Yes. Yes, I think you can.
Okay.
I said crapified earlier, and then I was like, oh, should I be censoring myself? But you know what?
No.
Yeah, that's a much better term. Hey, should we do some snapshots?
So have you got a snapshot?
I have a snapshot. Do you want me to start?
Okay. I'll go get mine while you're doing that.
Okay.
I have to lug it in here.
I think I always start, but I don't know. It just felt like it was the polite thing to do to ask. So one of the things that I've been doing recently is I've been doing some writing for CNET, and part of what I'm doing is making galleries, which is basically like an image and then some text about it on all sorts of various things. But I find myself, strangely, doing a lot of photography for it because I'm doing pictures of devices and AirPods and things like that. And I realized I need some better lighting than what I had, because I have old flashes, I've got umbrellas, but like that's all just too much. What I got instead is an Aperture Amaran MC. And what it is just a small handheld LED light. It was about $90. And what's nice about this is that A, it's small, but it puts out a lot of light and also has like a full spectrum of color and a full spectrum of white balance. And so when I just need something to like shine a little bit of light on a product, I don't want to have to set up all the crap that I used to. I can turn this on and just get that light. It also has like this little silicon dome thing that diffuses the light, so it's not really, really direct. It's been super helpful, super portable. It even has magnets on the back, so you can just attach it to something magnetically. It does have a little hole if you want to, hook it up to a tripod. It has a little battery inside. It's charged by USB-C, and Aperture has an app that lets you control. I mean, you could set up 50 of these and control them in all sorts of configurations. It's an app that covers their whole range of remote controlled lighting. But this way, like I can just dial in from my iPhone exactly the hue and the color temperature that I want. It even has a few little special effects so it can look like fire crackling or something like that. So absolutely worth my small investment for something that's super portable and super useful.
Ooh, that is kind of bright. Jeff just turned it on. He's shining it at me. I have to hide my eyes.
Yeah.
It's brighter than I would have expected.
Yeah, it's definitely brighter. Even over Zoom across the continents, Kirk is now blind up to 100%. So, yeah, it's good. Kirk, what do you have this week?
I have a thing. Oh, I got to pick this up. It's heavy.
Is it a cat?
I bought a Lego.
Oh, my gosh.
I bought the new Lego Notre Dame Cathedral set. I believe it is 5,000. It's 4,383 pieces. Now, I've always liked Lego since I was young, but Jeff's mouth is hanging open here. He's like drooling. I've always liked Lego since I was young, when Lego was really simple. You didn't have all these fancy stuff. When my son was growing up, he got really into Lego techniques, and we bought him cars and space shuttles and all that. But now they've got these new Lego architecture things, which are really impressive. A couple of years ago, I bought the Empire State Building. I really enjoyed building it. I didn't want to keep it. I bought it. I sold it on eBay. It was the process that was interesting. But there's something special about the Notre Dame Cathedral. I lived in Paris for many years. It was like the center of the city. And then the roof burned a few years ago, and it was really, emotional to see that happen. So the idea of building the Lego Notre Dame Cathedral appeals to me. 4,300 pieces, it's going to take quite a while to do. I got this 2 weeks ago. I just haven't had time to set it up and start doing it. I think it's like 400 pages in the instructions. And if you do Lego sets, you know that the number of pages indicates, the complexity. I think on the one hand, Lego does Star Wars and Harry Potter and vroom vroom cars and stuff. But on the other hand, they're doing more of these adult sets. And they've always got the same guy in the picture with the man bun putting these together. They're really aiming for a certain demographic of people with their Lego stuff. I have a friend, I won't mention his name. He has a room for his Lego. He has shelves with lights on them for all his Lego sets. He's got so many of them. He got the Titanic Lego set, which was, I think, 8,000 pieces. The Eiffel Tower that came out a year or two ago was 10,001 pieces.
Wow.
But that looked boring to build, so repetitive, right? Whereas this looks interesting. So it's the Lego Notre Dame Cathedral. I was thinking that when I do finish, I might want to take some close-up photos with some light coming through the columns and the inside of the cathedral and all that and see how it looks. I've seen some interesting photos. So I think this is $230. It was listed at £200. Put it in my Amazon cart because I do that to wait till prices go down. It went down to $175, so I bought it. And that's why I bought it when I didn't have time to do it. So it's sitting in a box, and one of these days it'll be finished, and I'll put a photo in the show notes in a future episode.
I think that the photo has to include you with a man bun. You're going to have to work on that.
My hair's too short for a man bun. It's true, though. I'll put a link in the show notes of the Lego.com page, and you can see the guy with the man bun, and he's in all these photos of these architectural things.
I can't wait.
So,
all right.
Okay. Well, that's enough for now. So we're coming up to the summer of the summer because this is the 25th of June when we're recording this. And pretty soon our next episode is going to be July, and then it's going to be August. And then you know what happens? It's going to be September with new iPhones and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, boy. So much coming up. But that's good.
All right.
All right.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Photoactive. You can find show notes, including any photos we discuss in this episode, at photoactive.co. That's photoactive.co. We couldn't afford the M. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/photoactivecast. That's photoactivecast in one word. You can subscribe to Photoactive in your favorite podcast app or on Apple Podcasts. See the links on our website. And think about leaving us a rating or review in iTunes or in your podcast app.